I'll give Allie a second, Sherry, and then we'll go. Oh, there she is.
Let me make sure we're good to go.
I'll wait for that.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, we're back from closed session, and Mr. Gina, would you report out, please?
Thank you, Mayor. The Emeryville City Council, the Successor Agency, and the Mesa Board met in closed session on the items listed in the closed session agenda. Regarding item 5.1.1, direction was given, and regarding item 6.1.1, direction was given. And that's the conclusion of my report. Thank you.
Thank you. I see 7 o'clock on the dot, so this meeting is adjourned. I do not have a start time on my agenda for the next meeting. Is that 7 or 7?
It's
7
7.
o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Perfect. So Sherry, when you're ready.
One moment. Okay, ready.
Okay. It is 7:01. I call to order the special meeting for the City Council, and roll call, please.
Councilmember Bouders?
Here.
Councilmember Donahue?
Here.
Councilmember Medina?
Here.
Vice Mayor Martinez?
Here.
And Mayor Pats.
I am here. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the final agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
A motion and a second. A roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Bouders?
Aye.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Medina?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Martinez?
Aye.
And Mayor Pats.
Aye. Okay. Any ex parte communications for the tree lighting or other items on the agenda? All right. Seeing none, I'll now open it up to public comment. I see a hand raised. Do we have any comment cards before we go to the hand?
One moment, I'll check on cards. Okay, there are no online comment cards, so I'll go ahead and call on Mr. Donahue. Unmute and go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. The mayor is ordered to shut off his camera. I notice he hasn't done it yet. Kristen, you should shut off your camera. We can still see you. Okay, it looks like the mayor is going rogue. So I wanted to say here tonight, for this purpose of this meeting, we're going to be talking. Oh, there he goes. Good. We're going to be talking about electing a new mayor. And so I just wanted to announce here to everybody, the Emeryville Tattler is starting. I'm starting a new tradition. I'm the editor of the Tattler. Starting a new tradition where at the close of each mayoralty, I can't even say the word, the mayorship of each person, I'm going to do a rundown. I did it last time with Ali Medina, and so now it's Christian's time I'm going to do a rundown of his how he did as a mayor. And just so you know, I'm going to add a new feature this time with Christian, and it's going to go from here on out. I'm going to give a letter grade to each mayor. And just for a sneak preview before the title of the story comes out, you should all know that Mayor Pats is going to get a D+. So he's bad, but he's not quite failing. So Kristen, you're gonna receive a D+, and each mayor from now on will receive a letter grade. I might go back and grade Mayor Medina. I haven't decided yet, but Mayor Pats will receive a D+. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
So, all right. As a high school dropout and longtime teacher, we have a saying, and that is D equals diploma. So thank you for that. Moving forward, we are on 6.1, comments from the outgoing mayor and other council members newly appointed. So, anybody would like to make any remarks before I go? I guess not. Seeing no hands, I will simply say it has been my honor and my pleasure to serve you, no matter how poorly I have done it. But this has been an interesting year to be mayor. I have been super impressed by the support of the staff, from the city manager all the way down And I thank them for making me look better than I think I should have. And I thank my colleagues for your incredible support from even before day one. And this is an incredible city that is going to rebound from an incredibly difficult time, probably faster than the rest of the country does. And we're going to weather this well. And I just am, wow, I had nothing prepared, and now I'm actually very moved all of a sudden. I love my little town. I love the people in this town. I love the people I work with. We had to make a choice whether to run again. And we all did, partially out of our desire to serve, but I think also because what an incredible joy it is to serve this community with these people. And I cannot emphasize that enough. Be it my weekly meetings with the city manager, be it caucusing with each and every one of you guys, be it to arguing on the dais over minutia. Thank you. I'm going to stop there. That went longer than I did. A package was shoved in my office door, city manager. Should I look at that now?
I don't know if your colleagues have additional comments, but yes, Mr. Mayor, there was a package shoved in your door by our secret helper.
So,
as a thank you.
All right, so, I'm going to go to the vice mayor and then, or actually Member Bowders and the vice mayor. So Member Bowders, I see your hand, so go ahead.
I just wanted to extend my congratulations for serving as mayor of the city this year during a very challenging year where we sit in this Brady Bunch square for the majority of the meetings that we have, which isn't something that we've enjoyed doing, but we've adapted to doing. And I think it's notable that you seamlessly guided us through doing that. And there have been, as you noted and alluded to, a number of very significant challenges for the city this year. And I'm proud to sit on this council with you and with the other three members of this council and do that work together with such great city staff. And I think you summed it up very well, but thank you for your service.
Thank you. Vice Mayor, I said you were next, but I saw others' hands and I'm going to save you for the last. So Member Donahue and then Member Medina.
These are ugly times in a lot of people's lives. And I just appreciate how you've kept us even keeled and going forward in a positive way, Christian. It's just, we've had real challenges the last year, and your spirit is really necessary for these times, and so I'm so happy that you served during this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Medina?
I want to echo what our colleagues have said, and thank you for your steady hand and leadership during this tumultuous year. I think when people tune into these meetings on Zoom, what they want to see is a calm, assured, competent body. We've been called so technocratic as to be boring by a reporter, and I think that's finally kind of a compliment, because that's what people need right now. They need a group of people who are working well together, and they need to see a mayor like you who probably, despite after being exhausted emotionally, 8 hours dealing with kids on Zoom, can sit here for 4 to 6 hours and calmly and thoroughly and thoughtfully run a meeting. That is no easy feat. I certainly would not have been able to do it without some snafus, and I've testified at a lot of state level hearings. You, sir, are the best at running the Zoom meeting, and we're really lucky that we had you this year.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Thank you. I want to say I'm very pleased to have all of our returning members at council. And for the mayor, you have served this year with tact, with compassion, and with very adept at the Zoom meeting. And I too have attended many that have had issues, and you seem to pick up on the timing and know how to move them through and get done the important work that we do. But I also, I would be remiss if I didn't mention what I think is your crowning achievement of the year, which is the work that you did along with Councilmember Bowders to rename 47th Street for Steve Dane. And I think that is something that was a long time coming. And I'm very proud to have served on a council that made that action. So I think that is a real shining light in what might be the worst year ever for any mayor who's had to serve in Emeryville. So thank you for bringing us through the worst year ever. And hopefully it will remain the worst year ever.
says the vice mayor himself. I just want to add to that. I think we should get Christian a plaque that says, "I survived as mayor of the worst year ever." I think we should do that. We should have a little special nameplate for his desk.
I don't know what was slipped under your door, so.
Yeah, I have. So I'm not good with timing because it's, so is now the time, city manager?
Yes, please.
And before I do that, I want to say thank you for those kind words. I really, the smoothness on the meetings. It's the city clerk. It is Dave, and it's all of the team together. They made me look good. I take no credit. And I just want to address the worst year ever. We just had an election where 150 million people voted. That is amazing. And a lot of those people are the youth. I don't see kids all day on Zoom. I wish I did. I don't spend any time with kids. I deal with adults all day. But I do a lot of work with kids. And they keep getting better. Better people are coming after us. I know you guys are all young, but one of the few people who don't scream, "Get off my lawn." I want them to run our country. Member Bowders, Member Martinez, Member Medina, you are the next generation of world leaders, and I'm very pleased by what I see coming up after us, after my old age. So thank you for that. I'm going to stop talking because I'm gushing too much. I'm excited to open this. I'm excited to see, it's Emeryville swag. Ooh. It's a community services jacket. Oh, thank you guys so much. Thank you.
That's because we're going to put you to work.
I don't know. That's my son is now big enough that he gets to go with me and do these things. On Thursday, we will be doing meals again, and it's so fun to work with him. And so anything event in the city he's now old enough to do it with us. So we will put me to work by all means.
And Mr. Mayor, Sherry, I believe we have a little something else. Is that right?
That's true. Hold, please.
Just briefly, if you would indulge us.
I'm sorry, you want to say nice things about me? I think we can find the time.
Give us a minute.
That is the only time he wore a white shirt to a council meeting. They've all been neon besides that.
The gays would say that's beige.
Yeah. It's a tan.
If there's no music, I think staff is inviting color commentary.
So, Mr. Mayor, we really appreciated your leadership during this time, and we knew that it was extremely hard, and you had a lot of things planned, many of which didn't come to fruition, but many of which did. And we just, I so appreciate Sherry pulling this together to remind you that good things did happen. You will see a transition when we can't see your smiling face quite as much. But we wanted to remind you that at the beginning of the year, here's the transition. But then you brought it back. You brought it back. So I wanted to really appreciate you and take a moment to thank you for everything that you did for us, for our community, and all the things you stood up and celebrated with us. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Okay. I think it's time to move this along. So I'm going to go to 6.2, oath of office for the 3 newly appointed council members. City clerk.
One moment, I'm having a little trouble getting you all back. Hold on.
No worries. I'm okay with this being the background for the evening.
Where is it?
So, Mr. Bowders, did you have a printer? This was the big question. question for everybody.
I did, and if I should have, Sherry emailed me mine a couple hours ago, and then like 5 minutes before the meeting, she's like, "Yours has typos in it," so I just reprinted.
Okay. So the audience members who don't know, we had to print out our things, and the city clerk, I'm outing you here, didn't feel that we would have printers and they were obsolete. But I will point out my printer decided that the city colors were not enough, so it did the logo in a rainbow. I'm really just filling time here.
I'm sorry that I'm taking so long. I don't know where you all went.
You have to stop sharing your screen, Sherry.
Yeah. You're still screen sharing. There we go.
Sorry about that. Okay.
That's okay.
Now, where were we?
So we're on item 6.2, the administration of the oath of office of the three of us.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put my camera on so you know I'm really here. Now, what I would like
There's
to
Alice.
do, I don't want to make everybody do it individually, but what I'd like to do on the oath, you each have a copy of your oath, which you're going to sign and then provide to me later, which I will attest. But for tonight, I'm going to read the oath and you will all follow along. But when we get to the part when you say your name at the very beginning, if you wouldn't mind just individually saying your name in alphabetical order. So it would be I, John Bowders, I, Ali Medina, and I, Christian Patz. If you'd say the names individually, then I think it's all right for us to do all the rest of it together. So with that said, please all raise your right hand.
There we go.
All right. I state your name.
I, John Bowders,
I, Ali Medina,
I, Christian Patz,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly affirm
swear
or affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the
and the
Constitution
Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against
all enemies,
foreign and
foreign and domestic,
that I bear true faith and allegiance
that I bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the
to the
Constitution
Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the
and the
Constitution
Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take
this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
upon which I'm about to enter
upon which I am about to enter
as a city council member for the city of Emeryville.
as a city council member for the city of Emeryville.
Thank you and congratulations to all of you.
Okay, perfect. All right, that brings us to 6.3, appointment of a mayor and vice mayor of the city for one-year terms expiring November 2021. I'm going to take my privilege here and actually nominate someone. So I would like to nominate the vice mayor, Diane Martinez, to become our mayor. We can either have some discussion or I can get a second.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion before I call for the vote?
I think she's a great choice. Let's vote.
I agree.
Councilmember Bowders,
Aye.
Councilmember Medina,
Aye.
Councilmember Patz,
Aye.
Councilmember Donahue,
Aye.
and Mayor Martinez. Oops, we have to hear
You're
you
good.
out loud. Vote for yourself.
I'm mute down.
Thank you.
Welcome to Zoom Challenges, new mayor.
Oh, boy, I'm already fumbling.
So, all right, do we have to switch chairs now?
I think you can go ahead and finish this out.
Yeah,
All right.
we'll finish the item.
All right. Would somebody like to make a motion for the vice mayor?
I would like to nominate Scott Donahue to be the vice mayor for the city of Emeryville.
And I'd like to second that.
Oh.
Sorry. So we have a motion and a second from Member Donahue. Is there any discussion before I call for the vote? Great, let's have the vote.
Councilmember Bouders?
Aye.
Councilmember Medina?
Aye.
Councilmember Pats?
Aye.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
And Mayor Martinez.
Aye.
Okay. With the exception of the new order for the vote, I think that fits along with how Ally described our meetings going. Okay, I believe we have to do the oath of office for the two of you.
We do, and unfortunately, since they're for different positions, I have to do each one separately. So we'll start with Mayor Martinez. If you could raise your right hand and repeat after me.
Ready?
I state your name.
I, Diane Martinez,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I bear true faith and allegiance
that I bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter as mayor of the city of Emeryville.
on which I am about to enter as mayor of the city of Emeryville.
Thank you and congratulations. All right, and if I could have Vice Mayor Donahue raise your right hand and repeat after me, please. I state your name.
I, Scott Donahue,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter as the Vice Mayor of the City of Emeryville.
about which I'm about to enter as the Vice Mayor of the City of Emeryville.
Thank you and congratulations.
Okay, so am I taking it from here, ex-mayor
Right.
Pat? All right, so we're on to item 6.5. If you'll give me just a second here. Okay, so this year we're doing things a little bit differently. We've got our virtual tree lighting ceremony, and I'm sure there are a lot of people, including those in my household, who are really missing our annual holiday parade. So we're gonna do our best right now and do our countdown to our tree lighting. So can we get eyes on the darkened tree, Sherry?
We are going to. I've got Pedro Jimenez, and as soon as he's in place, he will start the camera rolling.
Okay, and we'll be ready. I've got at least one elf who might assist me.
Ashley's getting dressed.
Okay.
Madam Mayor.
In the meantime, Mayor Martinez, we do have a raised hand from a member of the public. I don't know when we want to address that.
I'm happy to address that now. So, member of the public, as soon as you're unmuted, you will have 3 minutes.
Unmute and go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to say all the items you just went through are action items. And the public is allowed to speak at action items. So says the Brown Act. This is a duly scheduled public meeting. Those were action items taken by the elected officials. You should have offered public comment. I guess the former mayor should have opened each one up to public comment. That is explicit in the Brown Act. And I don't know why you didn't do it. I guess just lack of, just dislike of public comments in general, I guess. But that was a violation. Thank you.
All right. Oh, I see Pedro.
Hello. Now I just got to flip my camera. Let me do.
And in lieu of the entire Emeryville community that we usually have around the tree, I'm going to ask everyone on at least who's able to unmute themselves on the panel to help me count, especially Atticus.
Before we do that, Madam Mayor, can we ask Sherry to make Pedro the only screen that we see?
Yes.
Ashby's going to come in a little
Is there a
bit.
way for you to pin?
If there is, I don't.
If you go to view at the top, Sherry, as the host, you can select priority screen.
I don't have those options. I have speaker view and gallery view. So I was going to make him speaker, but then when you count, it'll pull the video to you.
Okay, never mind.
Just have Pedro count.
Good idea.
Pedro, if you could unmute yourself, please.
Sure. So.
Oh, we can hear you.
Okay, so I'll do the countdown. Are you ready?
Sure, and everyone else just count along. You can kick us off when you're ready, Pedro.
Okay, I'm gonna start from 10.
Okay.
10.
10.
9. 8. 7.
6.
5.
4.
3. 2. 1.
Yay!
Pedro.
All right. Well done, everyone.
Great job, community services.
Just to clean this up, I will ask Sherry if we have received any online comments for this meeting, and we will read them into the record if we have. Again, this is a special meeting of the City Council of Emeryville.
I see no online comment cards, and we addressed the raised hand, so I think we're good.
Very good. Okay, so we're adjourning this meeting at 7:28 p.m. Thank you. We'll move on to the Successor Agency regular meeting.
In 1 moment.
You know when you're ready.
All right, go ahead.
All right, this is the Successor Agency regular meeting. The time is 7:28 p.m. And Sherry, should I go ahead and refresh the
yes, please.
Remarks? So I'd like to state for the record that this meeting is being conducted by teleconference pursuant to the Brown Act waivers provided for under the Governor's executive order in response to the COVID-19 state of emergency. During the public health emergency, City Hall is closed to the public. The agenda states that the public may view the meeting that is being live streamed online and on ETV Channel 27 and provide comment by submitting an online comment form, which will then be read into the record by staff. The comment form can be accessed by going to our main City of Emeryville website at www.emeryville.org and clicking on Council Agendas and Videos. Once there, you will see a link entitled Submit an Online Speaker Card. The public also has the option of participating in tonight's meeting via Zoom and may provide public comment during the meeting using the raise your hand feature visible on the screen, or if you're calling in, press *9. The Zoom call-in information was provided on the posted agenda, as well as an e-notification on social media. So let's see. We need to do another roll call, or can we assume that we are all still here?
I think it's okay to say we're all still here.
All right. Next up is the approval of the final agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Member Bowders and a second by Member Pats. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Bowders?
Aye.
Councilmember Medina?
Aye.
Councilmember Pats?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Donahue?
Aye.
And Mayor Martinez.
Aye. Moving on, we have ex parte communications. Is there anything to report from any members tonight for this meeting? Seeing none, we're moving on to public comment. This is for consent agenda, the consent agenda and items not on the agenda. So I'll ask the city clerk, have any online or email speaker cards been received?
No online comment cards, but we do have one raised hand.
Okay, and before we take that raised hand, I want to remind the public that they're limited to 3 minutes. If you were joining us by Zoom, you may use your raise your hand feature, or if you're joining us by phone, please press *9. Madam Clerk, you can go ahead and unmute the public speaker.
All right, unmute and go ahead.
Okay, I can't, I have to leave, so I'm speaking about item 12.2. Okay, so that is I'm can't see, since my computer's on the Zoom meeting, I can't see the agenda, but I believe it's 12.2, and so you're talking about how to set up a meeting decorum. So 2.14, you are ordered to, you're saying that the presiding officer must have the meetings conducted with, quote, strict order. You should change that to, quote, reasonable order. There's no reason why it should be strict. Item 2.16, it's about representatives of the press. You need to add the following language. The representatives of the press are defined as anyone who claims to be such. That way we don't run afoul of the Constitution. The United States is not North Korea. There are no state-issued press credentials. So anyone that is a member of the press, anybody that says they're a member is therefore a member. And so if a meeting room is cleared by the mayor, everybody that says they're press members get to stay at the meeting as long as they say that they're press. So you change that, clean that language up. And then regarding, I can't remember which one it is, but it's number 4. It says, all remarks on agenda items shall be directed to the mayor and the city council as a body and not to any particular member of the city council or staff. Strike that. We are allowed to direct questions and remarks to individual council members and individual staff members. It is a First Amendment protected activity. So strike number 4. That runs afoul of the First Amendment. Same with number 6. No questions shall be asked of city council members or staff except through the presiding officer. No, that's false. The public can ask questions of city council members or the staff without the presiding officer. That's, again, running afoul of the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. So clean up that language, and there's probably other things in there that are wrong, and I invite the 5 of you to explore them. But let's make sure that we don't run afoul of the United States Constitution, and especially with regard to the press. Remember, anyone who says they're a member of the press is, by definition, a member of the press. Thank you very much.
Okay, seeing no other hands raised, we're moving on to the consent calendar. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay. So I have a motion from Member Pats and a second by Member Bowders. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Bowders.
Aye.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Pats.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Donahue.
Aye.
And Mayor Martinez.
Aye. That brings us to action items. So this is the second. 7.1 is a resolution of the City Council and the Successor Agency. It's basically our calendar. So I'd like to discuss this now, and then because we've got this again on our next agenda, but since this is coming up first, I'd love to give the public the opportunity to speak on this. So Sherry, do we have any submissions for public comment?
No cards and no hands at the moment.
Okay, so now I'd like to open this up for discussion with the council. Has everyone had a chance to review these dates? And does anyone have any specific issues that we need to resolve on the calendar for the upcoming year?
And if anybody needs to see it, I can display it, the calendar itself. But we explained all the suggested differences in the staff report.
So, Member Bowders?
If we move from September 7th to August 31st to avoid Rosh Hashanah conflicts, I won't be available to attend on the 31st of August, but that shouldn't dissuade the council from having a meeting that day if this works for everyone else.
Are there any other comments? Does the 31st work as staff recommended, or do you have another date that you have in mind, Member Bowders?
No, unfortunately, the kind of that whole period of time is problematic going ahead. So I if everyone else can make it, I would just recommend you have the meeting in my absence. Yeah.
Okay, if there's no more discussion and no more need to address, I will entertain a motion.
Oh, one other thing, excuse me, does anybody have concerns about holding a meeting on election night that year? I know it would be an off year for us, but I wanted to give you the option of not having a council meeting that night if people wanted to have that night off.
Look like anyone has that concern.
Okay.
No. All right. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion. I'm perpetually impressed that people plan their life out 9 to 12 months in advance. But sure, I'll be there.
John's life is planned out years in advance. If you don't try to book him around Labor Day.
As Michael knows, I have to host the softball World Series that week, and so I will be gone for 10 days.
Yeah.
It's cute you think we're going to have a softball World Series. Can I clarify the motion? Is that with the meeting on the 31st of August?
Yeah.
Then I will second that motion.
Great. We have a motion by Member Medina and a second by Member Pats. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Bowders.
Aye.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Pats.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Donahue.
Aye.
And Mayor Martinez.
Aye, and I just want to thank everyone for being so gracious for the amount of times that you are going to hear "Mama" from the other room while I am mayor. So I appreciate your patience with that. And the time is 7:38, and we are adjourned. Moves us over to our next meeting. And Sherry, let me know if you need to catch up with anything.
No, I think we're good. Thank you.
Okay, I'm calling to order the City Council regular meeting. Today is December 1st, and the time is 7:39 p.m. We are all still here. And before I ask for a motion on the approval of the final agenda, is there anything that staff wanted to note? Right.
Only that the city attorney has advised that Councilmember Bowders will need to recuse himself from consent item 10.8. So we wondered if it wouldn't be smoother to reorder the consent calendar to put 10.8 at the end so that you can take one vote on all the other consent items and then he can leave the virtual dais for the vote on 10.8.
Very good. Then I will take the privilege of making the motion to approve the final agenda, save for we will entertain the consent agenda minus item 10.8, and then entertain 10.8 separately. So Member Bowders has an opportunity to leave the meeting and rejoin in between. So I have made the motion. Do I have a second, or is there?
I second that.
Okay, I think I got Member Medina first on that. So there's a motion by myself and a second by Member Medina. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Bowders.
Aye.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Pats.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Donahue.
Aye.
And Mayor Martinez.
Aye. All right, there are no special orders of the day. That brings us to announcement of commission and committee vacancies. Sherry, is there anything to announce this day?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We are currently getting ready to open up, or we have opened up a recruitment for 4 vacancies. One as the ACTC Paratransit Advisory and Planning Commission position, which would be a resident with a term ending in December of 2022. We have an opening on the Budget Advisory Committee for a business representative, term ending June 30th, 2021. We have a seat on the Commission on Aging, which is going to be an upcoming vacancy, and that would be for a resident with a term ending June 30th, 2023. And finally, we have a large business representative needed on the Economic Development Advisory Committee for a term ending June 30th, 2022. The applications are due on Monday, January 4th by 5 p.m., and the appointments are scheduled to be made at your council meeting on Tuesday, February 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Madam City Manager, is there a City Manager report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just briefly wanted to call to your attention item 10.6 on the consent calendar and give our thanks to Novartis for donating the substantial cash of emergency supplies that we are proposing that you accept tonight. So just wanted to note that for the council, and just also just appreciate all of you. And it was nice to be able to celebrate that a little bit earlier tonight. So thank you.
Thank you. Big thanks to Novartis for.
Pardon me, Madam Mayor. It seems, did I miss the council member special announcements?
I apologize. Sorry, everyone. You did not miss it. I missed it. So, and I even had something to speak on. So at this moment, I'll go back to item 6. Are there any council member special announcements or meetings, reports on meetings attended? Member Bowders?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 2 announcements. The Alameda County Transportation Commission voted unanimously to approve redirecting funding from very old and tired accounts belonging to the city of Emeryville from past projects that had balances. And we will be using that to finance the Quiet Zone Railroad crossing. So that has been approved. I want to give a shout out to Vivek Bhatt at ACTC, to Christine, to Mary Grace, and our public works team who acted very expeditiously in bringing myself into a conversation about meeting our deadlines for the state CTC funding we've already won, and that is going to help make that project come alive this next year, hopefully. And then the other thing is just to report, I want to thank all of you for your continued support and having supported me as being the candidate for the Bay Area Air Quality Management District with the Alameda County Mayor's Conference. And at our meeting this last week, we selected our new executive board, and I was elected the secretary of the board, which I will serve for the following year.
All right. Does anyone else have anything to report? Member Pats?
Yeah, so normally I have a scheduling conflict, but this year I was able to attend because of virtualness. The Your Time to Shine event for the Alameda County Housing Authority, where they really recognize people who've participated in the Family Self-Sufficiency Program and the number of people who've graduated from various, be it high school, associate degree, vocational certificates, or colleges this year, and seeing that program have people move to the next phase of their life was incredible. and or the people who were able to, we had, I think one family purchase a home, and talk about how that program, the family self-sufficiency, really helped them achieve that goal of getting out of public housing into home ownership, was just quite incredible. And so I will be inviting you guys next year. I have not seen it firsthand previously, only heard how wonderful it was, and it was truly, truly wonderful to see big government work. So thank you.
Great. Anyone else? All right. Seeing no one else, I will give my report on East Bay Community Energy. We took an action whereby Brilliant 100 has one more year of life in it for the members that are the ratepayers that are already on board with it. And it will be closed to new members, save for those from new communities, Newark, Pleasanton, and Tracy, and it's going to be subsidized for 1 year and then go away completely, which will grant us another year to get more renewables into our basic product and to find ways to lower the bar of entry for our 100% renewable product. So all in all, I think that was a good move by that body. So, all right, now moving on, back in order, we're on item number 8, and that's ex parte communications. Are there any ex parte communications to report? I am seeing none. Now is the time for public comment, item 9. This is public comment for consent agenda items and items not on the agenda. And I'll ask the clerk if any comments have been submitted online.
No, not at this time.
Okay, and before we take the raised hand on Zoom, I just want to remind everyone that you can use the raise your hand feature if you're joining us on Zoom, or if you're joining us by phone, please press *9, and Madam Clerk, feel free to unmute the speaker, who will have 3 minutes exactly.
Unmute and go ahead, please.
Okay, hi. I didn't realize I misspoke. I didn't realize last time I commented, I thought we were in the regular meeting. I didn't know we were not in the regular meeting. So now just transfer the comments I made to this meeting, the regular meeting. And what I talked about was item 12.7 that you're going to be doing later on tonight. And that is also known as the resolution of the City Council of the City of Emeryville amending the City Council rules of procedure. Again, especially critical is number 5.1, number 4. All remarks on agenda items shall be directed to the mayor and the city council as a body, and not to any particular member of the city council or staff. Now, if you don't change that tonight and you leave that in there, that's a challenge to me and to other members of the public to violate that. And then I will violate it. I'm warning you right now. And then if you, in this age of COVID, you can just mute me, I suppose. But once COVID passes and we're allowed to go to the city council meetings again, you'll have to have me arrested and pulled out of the building, because I'm going to violate that if you make this the law again tonight. Because I am going to speak to individual council members and talk about their public policy, not as a body as a whole. So I'm telling you right now, I will violate that. Moving forward, I don't think you should do it. It doesn't comport with the United States Constitution, and it's unethical, it's immoral, and you'll have to arrest me to stop me. Okay, thank you very much. I have to leave for the evening, but thank you very much.
That takes us to consent items, and I'll remind members of the public that we pulled already item 10.8 for consideration separately. And then, Mr. City Attorney, should Member Bowders? Let's consider everything but 10.8 first. So are there any comments, or does anyone have anything to pull from that body of consent items? Doesn't look like it. I will entertain a motion if that's not the case.
Move consent.
Second.
I have a motion from Member Pats, a second from Vice Mayor Donahue. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Bowders.
Aye.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Pats.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Donahue.
Aye.
And Mayor Martinez.
Aye. And now we'll move on to consideration of item 10.8 separately.
All right, and give me one. Oh, go ahead.
Member Bowders?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Pursuant to the rules of conflict of interest, I need to report to the City Council and the public that due to the proximity of my residence to the subject property, there may be a conflict of interest. And at this time, I will be leaving the dais and not participating in the discussion or consideration of this item.
Okay.
And Sherry, can you actually just make me an attendee, or do I have to actually just leave?
I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to change your role to an attendee. I think you'll get a message.
Yep.
All right, it looks like he is gone. Absent Member Bowders. Do I have a motion for item 10.8?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Member Pats, a second by Member Medina. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Bowders is recused. Councilmember Medina?
Aye.
Councilmember Pats?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Donahue?
Aye.
And Mayor Martinez.
Aye. And Sherry, I'll give you a moment to let Councilmember Bowders back in.
There he is.
There he is. All right. Now we feel whole. So now we're on to item 11.1, which is a public hearing. This is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Emeryville amending the planning regulations in Title 9 and the building regulations in Title 8 of the Emeryville Municipal Code regarding accessory dwelling units and junior accessory dwelling units. I assume there is a presentation.
There is, and I'm promoting Chad Smalley. And Chad, you'll let me know when you unmute whether we need Charlie to be promoted as well.
I believe this is Diana Keena's presentation, if I'm not right, if I'm not wrong.
Oh, I beg your pardon. My eyes skipped a beat. Hold on.
So Diana, yeah. And Diana and Charlie, yeah.
I'm here.
Great, and there's Charlie, and let me kick Chad out.
Sorry, Chad.
All right, and Diana, when you're ready for me to share your presentation, let me know.
Okay. So here we are again with the accessory dwelling units item. And everybody can hear me, I hope. In April, and there were some comments. The hearing was continued so staff could have addressed those comments. In September, the state issued guidance addressing the questions raised by the comments. So staff has revised the ordinance in response to that guidance. Next slide, please. The comments, guidance, and revisions address 6 topics: maximum size of an ADU for lots with small primary dwellings, number of bedrooms in an ADU relative to the primary dwelling, allowing ADUs on lots with non-residential principal use in residential zones, appeal of staff decisions to the Planning Commission, side setbacks, whether 3 feet or 4 feet, and maximum size of an attached ADU on a lot with more than one existing unit. Next slide, please. On the maximum unit size of an ADU if the primary house is small, the April draft limited it to the size of the primary dwelling. The comment was cities have to allow an ADU to be 850 square feet, 1,000 square feet if they are more than 1 bedroom, even if the existing house is smaller than that. The state guidance concurred. It said cities can limit it to those sizes or the size of the existing unit, whichever is greater. The average house in Emeryville is 1,200 square feet, and that's the state max for cities without a compliant ADU ordinance. So staff recommends setting the maximum at 1,200 square feet or the size of the existing house, whichever is larger. Next slide, please. About the number of bedrooms in an ADU, the April draft limited the number of bedrooms in an ADU to the number of bedrooms in the primary dwelling. The comment was that the state was advising cities not to limit the number of bedrooms in an ADU. The state guidance said limiting the number of bedrooms in an ADU could be seen as discriminatory to families and would be considered a constraint on development of ADUs. So we deleted that section limiting the number of bedrooms in an ADU in the new draft. Next slide, please. Regarding non-residential principal uses, the April draft prohibited ADUs on a lot with a non-residential principal use. The comment was cities must allow an ADU in any zone that allows residential use if there is an existing or proposed dwelling unit on the lot. An example would be a warehouse with a caretaker unit, which we have one in Emeryville. The state guidance says cities must allow ADUs in any zone that allows residential uses. So the new draft deletes that requirement that no other principal use exists on the lot. On appeals to the Planning Commission, the April draft allowed anyone to appeal the planning director's... Oh, I'm sorry. Next slide, please. Okay. The April draft allowed anyone to appeal the planning director's decision to the Planning Commission, similar to other planning director decisions. The comment was cities are not allowed to require a hearing, and this is to prevent neighbor appeals. But the commenter thought that the applicant should be able to appeal staff's decision. The state guidance just says ADUs must not be subject to a hearing. So the new draft says the director's determination of compliance or non-compliance is final, and it may not be appealed to the Planning Commission. Next slide, please. About side setbacks. In the April draft, we used the state law's parameters, which include 4-foot side setbacks. A commenter pointed out that increases the side setback requirement because Emeryville generally only requires a 3-foot side setback in the RM zone. The state guidance says setbacks may not unduly constrain development of ADUs, and side and rear setback requirements may not be more than 4 feet. The new draft sets ADU side setback requirements at 3 feet, matching the general requirement. Next slide, please. Regarding size of an attached ADU on a multi-unit lot, the April draft was silent on the question of size of an attached ADU on a lot with more than one existing or proposed unit. After the hearing, when we were working with a potential applicant, the question came up. The state law had not addressed size of an attached ADU, and staff had added it to the April draft for a lot with 1 unit, but not for lots with more than 1. So the new draft just sets the same size for all ADUs, 1,200 square feet, or the size of the largest existing or proposed principal unit with which it is associated. Next slide, please. So that concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
So at this time, this is a public hearing, but before we open the public hearing, I'll take any clarifying questions from council. Any questions? Did we lose John? No, you're there. Okay, it doesn't look like we have any questions from council. So at this time, I'm going to open the public hearing. It's 7:58 p.m. And the public will have 3 minutes to speak. We'll begin with asking the clerk if anyone has submitted online speaker cards.
No speaker cards at this time.
Okay, and no emails as well?
Oh, that's what I mean. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, and is there anyone from the? I don't see anyone with their hands raised.
Nor do I.
Okay. And just to remind folks, if anyone is joining by phone, you could press *9 to raise your hand. And if you're joining us by Zoom, use the raise hand feature. But I am not seeing any public comment. So I am going to close the public hearing at 7:59 p.m. and we'll move on to discussion. Is there anyone who would like to discuss this item? And it really was a lot of clarification. Scott.
I'm just curious about how many units that our planning or building department or Diana or Charlie would think could be built or enlarged in our city as a result of this state law change.
Could be affected by the change in the state law?
Yeah, about how much additional square footage and or units do you think will be built?
We have a few people inquiring about them, but the fine points that were brought up at the April meeting and then revised in response to the state guidance, nobody has brought up anything that those would affect.
Okay. Dozens of units potentially will be built?
I doubt it.
Good. Okay.
Because of these changes. Now, there might be, because of the ADU laws, changes generally.
This is Charlie. I'll just say that there is potential for many units. We haven't tried to quantify how many that is, but just about every residential property in Emeryville could potentially have at least one ADU, and that would be 1,000. But I think, it depends on what the demand for them is. And as Diana says, we haven't seen a whole lot. We have a few in the pipeline, but it's on the order of maybe a dozen or less a year. So somewhere in that order of magnitude.
Okay, thank you.
All right, if there's no other discussion or questions, I'll entertain a motion to read by title.
I'll move to read by title.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Medina?
Oh, I said I'm happy to move to read by title and want to thank staff for their diligence in updating this code.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion from Member Medina, a second from Member Pats. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Bouders?
Aye.
Councilmember Medina?
Aye.
Councilmember Pats?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Donahue?
Aye.
And Mayor Martinez.
Aye. Take it away, Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Emeryville amending the planning regulations in Title IX and the building regulations in Title VIII of the Emeryville Municipal Code regarding accessory dwelling units and junior accessory dwelling units, CEQA status exempt pursuant to Public Resources Code Section 21080.17.
Great, and at this time I will entertain a motion for the ordinance.
So moved.
So moved. Okay, I'll second.
All right, I have a motion by Member Pats and a second by Member Medina. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Bouders?
Aye.
Councilmember Medina?
Aye.
Councilmember Pats?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Donahue?
Aye.
And Mayor Martinez.
Aye, and that passes unanimously, which moves us to action item number 12.1. This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Emeryville reappropriating $115,000 from the Local Business Recovery Program to provide matching funds for the Alameda County CARES Business Grants Program. And do we have a presentation on this? I think this is where we let Chad in the room.
Yes.
Yes.
Here he comes.
Yes, thank you. And this is Chad Smalley, Economic Development and Housing Manager. Thank you, Sherry, for bringing the presentation up. Madam Mayor and members of City Council, again, Chad Smalley, Economic Development and Housing Manager, here to a brief presentation on the Alameda County CARES Business Grant Program and the potential to match funds to that program. Next slide, please.
Chad, you're a little quiet.
All right, I'll try to speak up. By way of background, I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that the pandemic continues to severely impact business in general and especially small businesses. The combined effects of the public health officers' orders and limits on the operations, the reduced daytime population in the city, and just general customer health concerns and reticence to transact and go out and be in public are combining to really drag on the business environment right now. And in recognition of this, on November 11th, the Board of Supervisors, Alameda County Board, authorized the Alameda County CARES grant program. I want to point out at this point that there is an error in your staff report in these numbers, and what you see on the screen now is correct. I misstated them in the staff report, but there's actually $8 million in total funding available. $5 million of this is grants made by the county to businesses, and $3 million is being put aside to match against cities in Alameda County that wish to contribute to the program. So it's a total of $8 million. I had characterized it as 5 in the staff report. Next slide, please. So what this program does is businesses that are eligible have between 1 and 25 employees, physically located in Alameda County in the incorporated areas, that have been impacted by COVID-19, either by a closure of any length of time or because they've had to lay off employees due to the pandemic. There are ineligible categories of businesses, including chain stores that are not headquartered in Alameda County, banks, lenders, financial institutions, landlords, whether commercial or residential, and publicly traded companies. Next slide, please. The program will grant up to $5,000 per applicant. The eligible uses are pretty broad, and really any kind of operating expenses, including rent, mortgage, payroll, and any costs that businesses incur to deal with the pandemic, whether it be sanitation costs or technology investments that they need to make, things like that. The application period opened on November 17th, and it ran through 11:30 p.m. on the 30th of November, so yesterday. And I received some data from East Bay EDA, the organization that's running this program. This morning, 7,700 applications were received countywide, really demonstrating the demand for this. Now, this is preliminary numbers, I should point out. These haven't been reviewed for eligibility or for duplicates for that matter. So this is the most that you could see in the program. And 104 businesses in Emeryville have applied. Again, preliminary numbers. So with the demand that far exceeding the amount of money, the plan is to award these grants by a lottery process. And what East Bay EDA will do is first put matching pools together. So if a city contributes a match, the county contributes dollar for dollar match against that. They'll run a lottery for the applicants from that city only. And then anyone who's not funded in that lottery will go into the big countywide lottery, and they'll run another lottery for the rest of for the 5 million in funding. Next slide, please. So this opportunity is here. On June 9th, you'll recall that the City Council approved our local business recovery program. And this was in response to the civil unrest on May 30th. And what that program did, or that city council action did, is it reappropriated $200,000 that was budgeted for the facade improvement program for this year into this business recovery program to make grants of $4,000 for businesses impacted by the vandalism and looting. And that program has essentially run its course at this point. We did 21 grants of $4,000 each, so for $84,000, meaning that from that original appropriation, there's $116,000 remaining. Given that the grants are $5,000, it only makes sense to match in multiples of $5,000. So if the city council wanted to reappropriate this funding that's left over, the $115,000 to match against this, the county would match that dollar for dollar. We end up with $230,000, which would allow up to 46 of those 104 businesses that applied to receive grants that wouldn't otherwise in the countywide lottery. Next slide, please. So this is an opportunity to provide grants to very small businesses that are hurting. It's an opportunity to leverage funds dollar for dollar, which is something remarkable in and of itself. We thought it prudent to quickly put this agenda item together, bring it to the city council today, and have let East Bay EDA know that you are considering this evening. Staff's recommendation is to adopt the resolution that would reappropriate $115,000 from that local business recovery program to the Alameda County CARES program, and then authorize the city manager to execute whatever agreements and make payments necessary in order to effectuate that. This program came together very quickly, and its exact mechanics are being worked out, hence the relatively broad authority we requested in the resolution. It's coming together now, and it appears that it's as straightforward as the city cuts a check to the county and the county runs the lottery. And so that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
All right. Are there any clarifying questions from council member Bowders?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have two questions, Chad. The first is, there's $5 million that can be used in the matching pool. So hypothetically, if the 14 cities in the county put up matching funds equal to $7 million, what is the county's plan if they've run out of matching funds? How are we going to do that?
First, a point of correction is 3 million, so it's 5 and 3. So there's 3 million in the match pool. So what East Bay EDA has said is that they're going to do this on a first come, first served basis. And so cities that get their, approve their match first, will get the match against the county. And then if the county runs out of funds, those that come in later will be left out.
Okay. So, and do we know if other cities have already turned their money in, or are we going to be able to get the full benefit of $115,000?
We will get the full benefit of 115. We were pretty quick on the draw in our conversations with East Bay EDA. They've had some flexibility with us on this point, and we said, look, we think we would be interested in this. We won't be able to get a city council action until December 1st.
Okay, and then
but they took that as of the publishing of the agenda packet. That was sufficient for them to put us in line.
Okay, and then my other question is around the lottery process. So the businesses that I get the lottery kind of in general for the county's slush fund, so to speak, of no match required. But if we're putting the money up for match, and so in theory, every grant that we're giving is going half from us and half from the county, if you just want to think of it that way, right? You could say that the first half of them are going from us and the second half are from the county, but assume that they're half in because it's a match. Has any thought been put into, or are there any concerns about equity? I'm just wondering about, it's a lottery. And so a small minority owned business that's been here for 50 years going up against a new business that they don't have the same impacts perhaps. And there's maybe not the same opportunities and same grants. Is there any concern or any thought or talk been put into how we're going to ensure that there's an equity? Because when I hear lottery, that's my concern, is that lotteries aren't equitable.
There isn't on its face any equity measure, that's been put in place in the way that the East Bay EDA is running the program. Really, a lot of decisions to understand. Stephen Bader, the executive director of East Bay, has related to me that a lot of decisions had to be made very quickly in order to. There's the requirement that the county spends this money in December, so they had to design a program extraordinarily fast in order to get the money out the door. It's kind of a use it or lose it proposition. And so this is what it is. And they felt that a lottery was a expeditious and fair way to distribute the funds, given that there's going to be so much more demand than funding available. And then for the lottery, obviously, they will just take the Emeryville applications for the Emeryville match pool. If that wasn't clear before, I wanted to make sure that was clear. So they just take those 104 and they send if it's 230, they'll distribute the 230. Then everyone who doesn't get that funding goes into the wide pool.
Okay, I have some comments for after public comment, but that's my questions. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, any other questions for Chad at this time? I'll just ask one question. Chad, do you know when those checks would be cut for qualifying applicants?
I do not have that in front of me, but I believe that the flyer they put out today indicated it would be mid-December. So in a couple of weeks, theoretically.
All right, thank you. So I will open this for public comment. Madam Clerk, have we received any comment cards or emails?
None at this time.
Okay, and I do not see anyone with raised hands among the attendees. So we can bring this back to the council. Is there any discussion? Member Bowders.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'm just concerned about the equity component. I'm very supportive of this program, and I'm really grateful to the County Board of Supervisors majority that moved quickly to implement this. And to Chad's point, East Bay EDA is trying to do something, turn it around quickly, and I think we should be supportive of that. I would like to ask for staff's feedback and then open to council's input as well. If we were to only assign $100,000 of this to the program as match, and hold on to 15,000 of it and be able to give $2,500 grants that staff score on an equity basis to ensure that if members of our community who might be minority-owned businesses that have been here a long time or serve underserved community members, that we have reserved some amount of money in case the lottery system doesn't serve them to maybe give $2,500 grants, and that would potentially allow us to do 6, which I think is probably more than enough. But I'd just be interested in staff's thought about, I know we don't have guidelines and things set, so you may be concerned about that, but I'm just concerned about not having something in place that balances equity.
So, Councilmember, Chad may have a lot more to say about mechanics, but I would, if that is the route that the council would choose to take, that's not on the agenda tonight. So what you could do is just simply reduce the amount of match and reduce the amount that's available to match those county funds, and then ask us to come back to you later in January, probably, with another grant program that we would have to create for the remaining city funds. And we would need to articulate what the sort of criteria would be so that it's very clear how the city is making its decisions. Chad, please step in.
I don't have much to add to that, except that, yeah, it would take some discussion to design the criterion under which these smaller grants would be made. And if I'm hearing the concept, it's for those that, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's for those that applied to the county's program but did not get funded through the lottery.
Right. I'm basically suggesting if we reserved $15,000, and to the city manager's point, that would be my motion, would be to approve what you're asking for. But at $100,000 level, we're holding on to the $16,000, and then we can watch the match program go through. We can watch the county's lottery at large go through. And we can see of the 104 businesses, that would guarantee 40 in the match program would get funded, and there might be some other number that get funded. And we would have the ability then to, on a discretionary basis, look at long-standing, like we could come up with a handful of criteria for how to spend that money. If there's a business that's in need that just didn't win the lottery, I just feel like it gives us the space to empower our own community. And equity takes work, and building something that's equitable does take work. And so I'm trying to find the balance between doing something expeditiously to benefit business, but also to make sure that we don't disenfranchise a community enterprise or business that does not normally stand to benefit from traditional streams of money and revenue and things like that. So that's the concern I have. And I'm just wondering if staff have objections or think it's going to be an onerous thing that somehow is not meritorious to hold on to some amount of money to do that in the future if we need to.
Well, I don't think we would ever respond, Councilmember, that it's not meritorious, but it is. I do need to speak up that in terms of the amount of work that will go into that, we do have a number of other major programs that we're trying to keep going underway. So that's why I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. This will take a minute, and it will take some thought to articulate appropriate and legally supportable criteria for making that award to the kind of businesses that you're talking about.
And this is Charlie, if I could just chime in just to add to that. as Chad explained, East Bay EDA will be administering this program on behalf of the county and of course for us and all the other cities. If we were to do this additional program that you're suggesting, we'd have to figure out who's going to administer that. It could be that staff would just end up administering it, or we could ask East Bay EDA if they could do it or whatever, but there's something would have to be figured out for how it would be administered.
Yeah, I think it's the likely obvious solution would be staff after we've gone through this process. I don't imagine East Bay EDA would take on that obligation, but it's helpful to hear that feedback. I have to think about this.
Do other council members have any other considerations from the presentation or from what we've heard from Member Bowders? Member Medina?
Yeah, I appreciate Member Bowders' concern about equity. It was what I thought of as well. And I was looking back through my calendar in case I've missed something, because I sit on the East Bay EDA and I don't think we had a November meeting. We have not, as a body, had a chance to discuss this, which kind of sucks because it would be great to have been able to represent those concerns as a sitting member of that committee. So I definitely plan to surface this concern at the next EDA meeting of the North County's representative, because I think that it's an oversight. Though I understand the job here. They have to spend funds in a month flat and they have to get it out, and they don't want to encumber an enormous slowdown. And also there are legal concerns about equity. I don't think Emeryville has an MBE, LDE program set up the way that San Francisco does, for instance, where businesses already registered as minority owned or women owned. We don't have that in place. So I do think it would be pretty difficult for staff to put that together in a legal and efficient way. I'm also money hungry and remiss to want to pass up an extra $15K that we could get matched, because that's an extra $15K that would go directly into our economy, into those small businesses. So I'm interested in looking at perhaps the allocation of the facade grant in the future, which I think we've all discussed we want to reconsider, or other sources of funding for an equity program for these small businesses. But I think that's going to take more time, and this is intended to be quick aid that can be administered by not our staff who are busy doing other things. And so I think right now I'm inclined to support the whole $115,000, and then looking closely at like what we could do for an equity component in the future.
Thank you, Member Medina. Are there any other comments? Okay, seeing none, I'm happy to entertain a motion and a second.
Move approval for the full 115,000.
I will second it with the commitment that I'm happy to work with Member Bowders on an equity component, and that I, if given direction from the City Council, will be happy to represent our desire for an equity component from East Bay EDA at the next meeting.
Happy to take that amendment.
I really appreciate that, Member Medina. I think that's exactly the right direction we should be taking. And I appreciate Member Bowders bringing up equity. I think that in the long run, we definitely want these programs, you know, if there's any future pots of money that we can address with these equity issues, we want to make sure that all of this benefit is going to those businesses as well. But I do appreciate that this money needs to be turned around, and the fact that businesses in Emeryville could be seeing the benefits of this in 14 days is pretty amazing. And if it's not on the backs of our staff, all the better. But that said, you know, let's leave the door open to work out equity issues as they come. And hopefully we'll be seeing more stimulus money with the new administration. Member Bowders.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to ask Councilmember Medina, your comment about bringing something up to East Bay EDA about doing something going forward. I mean, if they're putting all this money out now, what is going to be left to do, I guess is my question.
I'm assuming that these are limited time contingencies funds. I think the hope is that there's going to be more funds coming from the county or for the federal government, and that EDA might be in charge of distributing them in the future. And so I'd like to press EDA, if there are future funding opportunities, to have an equity plan in place so that we aren't thrown into this situation where we have, you know, a couple of days to make a decision and not no meetings where we can influence how these funds are administered.
So I will go along with this motion very reluctantly. I appreciate all my colleagues' comments and overtures and support for this. I generally don't like to leave equity issues behind and find a balance if I can. But if the commitment is that we are going to have conversations about how to make sure this is in the forefront for future funding sources, I'm okay with that. But if East Bay EDA does come back with future money and there aren't equity components at some point, as a white man in this community, I have an obligation to stand up and say that we can't keep leaving minority businesses behind. So I appreciate the member Pat's and Medina's motion, and I'll support it.
Thank you. We have a motion by, sorry, who made the motion? Was that member Pats? Oh, Allie. We have a motion by member Medina and a second by member Pats. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Bouders?
Aye.
Councilmember Medina?
Aye.
Councilmember Pats?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Donahue?
Aye.
And Mayor Martinez.
Aye. So that brings us to item 12.2, which is a twin item to what we discussed with the successor agency. This is to adopt our regular meeting calendar for 2021, February 2021 through January 2022. And is it safe to say that we don't need a presentation on this, Council? Okay, great. At this time, I will ask for public comment. Madam Clerk, has anyone submitted a comment card or an email?
None at this time, Mayor.
Okay, and I don't see any hands raised. And just to remind folks who are attending online, you can use the raise hand button on Zoom, or if you're attending over the phone, you hit *9. And we do not have anyone for public comment. So unless there are any discussion from the council, I will entertain a motion in a second.
I move we adopt the calendar with the August 30th date of our meeting.
I think it's August 31st.
31st.
Correct.
31st, sorry.
And I will
second that.
Okay, and so we have a motion by member Pats and a second by Vice Mayor Donahue. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Bouders?
Aye.
Councilmember Medina?
Aye.
Councilmember Pats?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Donahue?
Aye.
And Mayor Martinez.
Aye, and that passes. That moves us along to item 12.3. So this is our annual resolution of the City Council of the City of Emeryville appointing City Council representatives to various county, regional, and statewide boards, commissions, and committees for the next year.
And what I can do, Madam Mayor, is pull up the current roster for everybody's convenience. Let me get to the correct one. Okay. Can people see that, or do I need to make it a little smaller?
I can see it.
Okay.
So I guess the easiest way to do this is to ask if folks have any changes to what is already up there. Any time conflicts or any boards that you don't wish to serve on anymore, or a board that you would like to join that you're not already on. And I would have to scroll through to see anybody, or you could just pipe up. Okay.
I'm happy to get off the mayor's conference.
I might have someone who could do that for you. So at this time, thank you, Sherry, for putting that up. I will entertain public comment. Has anyone submitted, I don't know why they would, but has anyone submitted any comment for this item, Sherry?
No comment cards.
And I can't see the attendees, so you
Yes, there are no raised hands at this time.
And there are no raised hands, so I'll bring that back to council. So if there are not any changes, I'll give you, Scott, please.
Diane, is there, you might have extra duties. Is there some committee that you just feel that you can't do because you're being mayor?
No, I think I'm good. I think you and John had the heaviest load this past year. So I am fine when I am
Okay.
after the bodies that I'm serving on.
Okay, I'll stick with what I have.
Okay.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Christian.
if I may, Member Donahue, you took over the East Bay League of Cities for me, so I could do the mayor's conference. If I remember correctly, there was a conflict. I'm happy to take that. I'm willing to take that back, just because I no longer have the mayor's conference, unless you've just become so attached to that meeting. And
You're totally welcome to it, Christian.
I didn't think that would be a tough sell.
And then for the alternate, then Scott, do you want to be the alternate on that?
Sure. Yeah, I'll be the alternate. Yes.
Okay. Did anyone else have any?
And I have one item, which is
I wonder what Councilmember Bowders wants to drop.
no, I can't. I was reappointed to the Public Safety Committee at the League of Cities. They asked me to stay, which I thought was crazy, but. So I'm going to stay on the League of Cities and do double duty for us. But I do want to point out that the conference, so I'll do all the committee meetings during the year. The conference, I may have a conflict. Now, if it's virtual next year, it wasn't really that much of a conflict. But whoever the alternate is, if it ends up being in person, there may be a need to send my alternate to the actual conference. So it's currently Diane. I just want to confirm with you because it's been moved to September. It's usually in October. And so I just want to put out there that there may be whoever is my alternate may need to go to the conference.
I don't know. I can go to the conference. I don't have a problem with that, but thank you for bringing that up. I hope you get to do this 10-day trip this year, by the way. I hope we're all vaccinated. Okay. With the one change of Scott and Christian switching member and alternate places, can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the chart, the appointments. I'll make a motion to approve the appointments, but to make Christian Patz the delegate or representative for the city of Emeryville to the East Bay Division of the League of Cities, and Scott Donahue the alternate, and to make Diane Martinez the representative to the mayor's conference and Scott Donahue the alternate.
And I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion by Member Bowders and a second by Member Patz. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Bowders.
Aye.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Patz.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Donahue.
Aye.
And Mayor Martinez.
Aye. Okay, so that moves us along. Thank you, everybody. Sorry for the barking. But that brings us along to item 12.4. This is the resolution of the City Council of the City of Emeryville appointing City Council members to City Council committees for the next year.
And I'm sharing the roster as it currently stands.
Give everyone an opportunity to look at that. And I'll just call for public comment now. Sherry, I don't believe there would be, but are there any emailed comment cards for this item?
There are none. And I see no raised hands.
And seeing no raised hands, that brings us back to council discussion. And I know that at least one member needs to make a switch off of one committee. But is there anyone who wants to make any changes?
Is this just the city council standing committees, or is this also the advisory committees?
Sorry, this is just the standing committees.
Okay.
And I am fine with all of my appointments. Is anyone else?
I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm always ready for change.
You're ready for change, Christian? But
I'm always ready for change. I love change.
Well, I'm satisfied with the with where I'm serving. So sorry, that doesn't leave you with any openings, Christian.
I'm fine with that too.
Okay. Do I have a motion on the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Keep it as it is.
Okay. So I have a motion by Member Medina and a second by Vice Mayor Donahue. Please call the roll.
And may I just clarify, there are no changes to that roster as it stands?
Correct. There are no changes.
Thank you. Councilmember Bowders.
Aye.
Councilmember Medina,
Aye.
Councilmember Pats,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Donahue,
Aye.
and Mayor Martinez.
Aye, passes unanimously. Thank you, Sherry. And that brings us to item 12.5, and this is the appointment of council member liaisons to the city's community advisory committees for the next year.
And once again, I've pulled up the roster as it currently stands.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Okay, does anyone have any clarifying questions or anything to frame our discussion before I call for public comment? All right, Sherry, is there anyone submitted any public comment for this item?
No, there are none.
Okay, and I'm assuming there are no hands raised. And that brings us back to discussion. So is anyone trying to look for a switch here?
I need to ask if somebody could take over. This term begins January 1st, and due to job changes I'm going to have beginning January 1st, my Wednesday evenings are great conflicts for me, and so I'm shedding all my Wednesday evening responsibilities, and unfortunately one of those would have to be the housing committee. So if I currently sit as liaison on 2 committees. I have for 4 years. If somebody would like to take a second committee and do housing for the next at least year, because I'm going to be in a temporary assignment for a year.
And I am happy to take that if everyone else is all right with that, because my first Wednesday of the month just opened up on the evenings.
Perfect.
Sounds
Thank
good
you.
to me.
Member Donahue, because of the mayor's conference or something else, you and I switched EDAC and public art. Did you wish to switch back, or are you happy on EDAC?
I'm happy on EDAC.
All right, I'll stay on public art.
Okay, well, I will make the motion then with the change of adding myself to the housing committee and relieving member Bowders of that responsibility for at least 1 year. So I will go ahead and make that motion. Do I have a second?
I will second it.
So there's a motion by me and a second by member Pats. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Bowders,
Aye.
Councilmember Medina,
Aye.
Councilmember Pats,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Donahue,
Aye.
and Mayor Martinez.
Aye. That brings us to item 12.6, and these are the fine members of the Emeryville community who would take our places if we get swept away in a tsunami. Is there a staff report on this, or do you want to pull up the list for us?
Yes. So here is the list. And I only recorded one change, and that was for Councilmember Medina. She changed her first position person. Otherwise, they all stayed the same.
Okay, very good. And is there any public comment that's been submitted on this item?
No, there's none.
Okay, and no hands raised, I'm assuming?
Correct.
Very good, thank you. Bringing it back to council. So Sherry shared with us individually all of these names, and we made changes appropriately. So is there any discussion with what we're looking at?
Move approval.
I will just interject that I will be contacting, once the appointments are made, all of the standby officers and doing virtual oaths of office for them.
Thank you, Sherry. So I did hear a motion by member Pats, but then I did not hear what happened after that. Scott, were you making a second?
Well, I just wanted to ask whether you've checked in with these people recently, other than just informing them again, oh, you're still on. That's a question for Sherry.
Oh, I did not check in with them, no.
That was what we were supposed to do, Scott.
I didn't do it.
Well, maybe you can make some phone calls tomorrow.
Okay, I might need contact information on one of those people.
Okay, I'll reach out to you tomorrow and we can talk about that.
Okay.
Okay, very good. So I had a motion by member Pats. Did I have a second on this?
I'll second member Pats' motion.
Okay, and a second by member Bowders. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Bowders,
Aye.
Councilmember Medina,
Aye.
Councilmember Pats,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Donahue,
Aye.
and Mayor Martinez.
Aye. Okay, so that brings us to item 12.7. This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Emeryville amending the City Council Rules of Procedure. Is there a presentation on this item, Sherry?
There's not a presentation per se. It's just good practice from time to time to look at and update and make minor changes if needed to the rules of procedure. So staff has gone through the existing rules and noted changes that we would recommend, and this is now an opportunity for the council to mention anything that they would like to see, discuss, and come to concurrence about.
And are there any clarifying questions from the council about the changes that staff is recommending?
And I can pull them up if need be. You tell me if you need to see them.
Not seeing anyone from council asking for that, so I will ask if we have any public comment submitted aside from the public comment we've already received on this item.
No, there's been none received.
Okay, and I don't see any hands raised. We'll bring this back to council for discussion. Member Bowders?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Sherry, if you could pull the document up, I do want to ask about making 2 changes that weren't in the staff proposal.
Sure, one moment.
They're both on page 12 of the document.
Document page 12, let's see.
Correct, it'd be section 5.1.
5.1, okay.
Right there. So if you could scroll up just a little bit so I can see.
How's that?
That's perfect, thank you. So I'd like to propose 2 changes that weren't proposed by staff. The first is in reviewing the first part of 5.1 here about public comment. We allow people to address the council during public comment, consent items, public hearings, action items, the city as successor agency, and then we say any other portion of the agenda if said person is recognized by the presiding officer. I actually think that the correct language should say any other portion of the agenda, quote, as required by the Brown Act. I think that's a clearer thing. We have, for example, future agenda items is technically under the Brown Act. Anything that's an agenda item should be allowed to have public comment. But we don't list it here with a subheading. And rather than create an exhaustive list of our subheadings, because we have amended the way the agenda looks a couple times over the past years, it would just be easier if we were to just change that to say in any other portion of the agenda as required by the Brown Act. That gets rid of kind of the personal nature of the presiding officer versus the public commenter, and it kind of just makes it the law. And then the second one, if you scroll to the next page, is number 4 for where the following shall apply. Thank you. So where it says where the following shall apply, all remarks on an agenda shall be directed to the mayor and city council as a body and not to any particular member of the council or staff. This goes back to something that we cleaned up in 2017. We removed a bunch of stuff that said you can't launch personal attacks against council members. And I kind of talked at the time about the First Amendment and free speech and the role the ACLU has played in the Kansas and other Supreme Court cases about free speech. And I would suggest that the easiest solution to relieving some of the public angst that we hear from some commenters, perhaps, although I don't agree with all of the commenters' remarks, we could change the word shall to should. And I actually think that solves our problem. And so I, unless others have feedback or, other items or disagree with me on those things, which I'm happy to discuss, those are the 2 suggestions I make. I don't have any problem with the staff recommendations.
Are there any other comments from council?
I really like that suggestion, John, going from shall to should in that case.
And I'm going to agree. I think that's a good direction to go in. Seeing that, would you like to make a motion encompassing those 2 changes, John?
Sure. So I'll make a motion to. Okay, I'm going to have to remember where I'm at. I'm going to make a motion to approve the staff recommended revisions to whatever this is called, the resolution, with the following changes. Under section 5.1, In the opening paragraph, number 6, after the word agenda, strike everything after the word agenda and insert the words as required by the Brown Act, period. And then in following that, in the sections that follow where it says what people should do, under number 4 on the top of page 13, removing the word shall, striking it, and replacing it with the word should. That'll be my motion.
And I'm going to take the privilege of seconding that motion, and I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Councilmember Bouders?
Aye.
Councilmember Medina?
Aye.
Councilmember Pats?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Donahue?
Aye.
And Mayor Martinez.
Aye. Which moves us to item 12.8, and this is a resolution amending the rules of procedure for local boards, commissions, and committees of the city of Emeryville. And do you want to give a brief overview, Sherry?
This is just the corresponding item. These are the rules that govern our committees and commissions. I should note that it does not include the Planning Commission. They have their own rules that they abide by. I've made a lot of the corresponding same recommended changes to these rules, clarified some things related to the attendance rules that have been misunderstood in the past. And that's really it. Again, it's a lot of the same changes and just language clarifications that I made to the council rules. But I'm certainly open to suggestions from the council.
Great. Do we have any clarifying questions or framing comments from the council? Looks like we do not, and I'll ask for this item whether or not we have any submitted online comments.
I do not.
I do not see any hands raised. So that will bring us back to the council, and I'll be asking if there are any recommended changes or questions regarding the changes made by staff. Okay, seeing none. Any discussion? Okay, I'll entertain a motion and a second on this resolution.
I move approval of the staff recommended changes for these rules.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by member Donahue and a second by member Pats. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Bouders?
Aye.
Councilmember Medina?
Aye.
Councilmember Pats?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Donahue?
Aye.
And Mayor Martinez.
Aye. That brings us to department head reports, and I don't see any listed here on the agenda, but I see that Charlie's in the room with us, so I will just ask if you've got anything to report, Charlie?
No, nothing at this time, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, and I see some of our department heads are attendees, but if you'd like to raise your hand, you feel free if you've got anything to report.
Madam Mayor, I don't think we have any department head reports tonight.
Very good. Thank you, Madam City Manager. That brings us to item 14. This is future agenda item requests from council members. So has anyone got anything they'd like to see on a future agenda? And I'm seeing nothing. So that brings us to item 15. That's our adjournment. And before we adjourn, I just want to thank everyone for their patience. There have been a lot of interruptions in this meeting from my household. So more of that to come for the rest of the year, especially if we're all still impacted at home. This is a dry cough. I don't have COVID.
Be on watch, Mr. Vice Mayor.
I'll adjourn this meeting at 8:48, and I'm going to have a nice big glass of water.
Excellent job.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.